This is a viewer's request of a show and tell of a series of books of a modern classic. I liken it to our Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings of our time. And indeed, apparently, George R.R. Martin's very much inspired by that. A lot of us know this fondly as Game of Thrones, or not so fondly. Here, the series actually called A Song of Ice and Fire. So, A Song of Ice and Fire, Book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Book 1 being A Game of Thrones. Book 2, A Clash of Kings. Book 3, A Storm of Swords. Book 4, A Feast for Crows. And Book 5, A Dance with Dragons. So this is the Harper Voyager Deluxe Slipcase edition with the coats of arms of the 5 major families that is part of this story, of this epic saga. House, that's the Baratheon, House Stark, which we all know and love. Of course, they're quite in the center of this whole story. House Baratheon, House Stark. This one here is Lannister, House Greyjoy, and the last one being Targaryen. And so there's 2 more books coming. It is glaringly obvious that these 2 are still shrink wrapped because I am not quite there yet with my reading. So once I'm there, once I'm ready to read book 4, A Feast for Crows, I will open that, and then I will open this one when I'm ready to read book 5. Book 6 and 7 is still incoming, and I have been told that this one here, book 5, came out years after the 4 books, because that was, I think it took Martin years to complete this one. But when I purchased these, all 5 were out. So by then, all 5 have been published. And so I can't confirm that, but I have been informed that Harper Voyager is quite good with following up, so that they have collectors in mind, so that the next, because a lot of us are worried that books 6 and 7 may take years to be published, and by then, you know, the books might not match the rest that was issued years before. So this is actually quite hard to get out of. I'm not quite sure why, because I don't remember it being this tight, so probably weather and temperature and the rest of it has a lot to do with it. So I will do this off camera. Right, so it came off so, and it's made, I believe, of acid-free paper. There's a question whether this is leather. It's not. It's nicely textured, but I don't believe, I do not believe this is leather. It's paper. Very good quality paper. I purchased this on Amazon when it first came out, and then I purchased those 2 in a local bookshop at about $20 more than how much Amazon was selling for. But I wanted to support my local bookshop, because a lot of the bookshops here are killed by Amazon. They just simply cannot compete, and they did tell me that they just cannot compete with Amazon, and no matter how hard they try. This bookshop that I was supporting, still am supporting now, is one of my ever favorite bookshops in the world. It's one of the first bookshops I found and bought books from when I first moved to New Zealand back in the 80s. And they now have to supplement their income by selling new books as well. And so it's quite tough for brick and mortar shops around here. So you can see the spine here, and then over here you could see the 5 coats of arms here repeated. Again, Stark, Lannister, Baratheon, the Targaryen, and this is, I know what this is. This is the, oh my god, I'll put a link down below to show you each of the coats of arms of the various families in the saga that is Game of Thrones here. So there is a ribbon bookmark. So I think the font size is, I would say, about 12 or 11, I'm thinking. Yeah, between 10 and 12. I would probably say 11, I'm thinking. So this is an edition show and tell, an edition review, I suppose, if you can call it a review. I do not like my books with glue. I really dislike that, and I know gluing is inevitable, but I believe this is stitched. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm not accurate in my description. It just has the appearance of it being stitched. So the paper is cream neutral color, acid-free paper, and it's such a well-known story by now that it's almost awkward to review it. So it reminds me very much of Lord of the Rings and a lot of these old Chinese sagas that my dad used to read in Indonesian, because none of us was educated in the Chinese language. But these sagas like the Three Kingdoms and the Dreams of the Red Chambers and all these just long epic stories spanning across 30 series of books, I think, if I remember, my dad. And also the characters, just thousands or seemingly thousands of characters. Now Martin was a screenwriter, I believe, so his book is written almost like screenplay, with each chapter from the perspective of one person, and I quite enjoy that. So that's the, let me have a look at so that's 96, the first published, and this book is 2011. So I bought this several years ago when it first came out, as I probably have mentioned. I'm not quite sure if this is still in print. I have no idea. Potentially it's out of print. I think I read somewhere, somebody commented that this is not available for purchase anymore, or it's not, it's no longer being printed, but I could be wrong. So this slipcase is a little tight, this one. And again, I don't remember it being this tight. But I think it's the weather might have something to do with it. So that's that one there. So let's have a look at, I'm not going to open these two for the moment. I hope you understand. I'll just show you what I have here. Again, there's a bit of scuffing there. This was about, I think, $60 or $70 US. I can't remember. Was it US or New Zealand? I honestly can't remember. But each of them was under $100 for sure. So book 2 on the inside here, with the House Baratheon here, and on the sides there is the 5 that we have on the spine so far. So the Baratheon, Lannister, as the successions move now, Stark, Greyjoy, and Targaryen. So let's see book 3. Similar with regards to everything else, it's similar. So let's take a look at book 3, which is quite substantial here. Like, really, I have small hands, but still. So it has the House Lannister, the line of the Lannisters at the front there. So those are different houses again. So here we have, I can never remember. I only remember the 5. That's the Stark, Lannister. I can't remember these. I've seen this, but I can never remember. So I suppose we'll check out in the there is like a page of, it's like Wikipedia for Game of Thrones, so I'll put that link down below. So it's been a while since I read this, but if you can see here, so I don't know how to put this, it's really quite heavy, so I can't stand it like that without damaging the bottom of the spine there. But as I've mentioned, Martin is a screenplayer, so it's written almost like a play with all these characters listed in the background here. Let's see, rebels, rogues, and sworn brothers. And if I remember correctly, these are the families or the people, the coats of arms of the families and of the peoples involved in the saga of that particular book. So in this case, these 5 over here, and list of characters at the back here. So that's book 3, and unfortunately I won't be able to show you book 4 and 5 until I open it once I'm ready to read it. But similar to the others, the coat of arms is echoed from the spine to the front. It's made of blue, what I believe to be acid-free paper all around. Very lovely, nicely textured. Similar to that of leather, which is understandable why some people just looking at it could potentially mistaken it for leather, but I can assure you it isn't. It's very, very lovely indeed. So there is still that price there from the bookshop. They're still around, thank goodness. And so that is the Harper Voyager Deluxe Slipcase edition of the Game of Thrones books, or in this case, A Song of Ice and Fire. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.